Hello, I hope this vlog finds you doing well. So my grandson's in the back taking a snooze, so let's see if while he's finishing his nap we can't wrap up this vlog on abuse. I have a couple of people that I've asked if we could do a vlog together to really discuss abuse on a deeper level. And hey, maybe I could make some space in my storage here so that the vlog wouldn't cut out. But we'll see if I can. I love when people vlog with me, but it's hard to get people to do it. Anyway, so as you can tell, I do not worry about my vlogs being perfect. I just get on here and talk, and unless it's totally atrocious, I just leave it. So I wanted to address cults. I've actually been researching cults a lot. And one of my closest friends and I, we make a joke because we were a part of the same ministry in Vermont that we tease and say, you know, we were a part of a cult. And actually the ministry did have some markers of a cult. I don't know that it really was a cult. The people there were really sincere and loved God. And that's the thing, you know, in all of these different ministries and religious organizations, I think most people really are sincere. You know, we want to have community and we want to be connected to God. And I think that community is really good, and I'm not even against religion per se, or, you know, organized religion. Infrastructure is good. Like I said, we need boundaries, and I think that's why we gravitate towards it. The concern is when we start giving certain people more power than other people, that and power really is so the opposite of love. Power comes from fear, right? And perfect love casts out all fear. So it's really counterintuitive and it gets really messy. And I don't know that we can ever have perfection in that. And I'm not saying we should live in isolation, because that comes with all of its own set of problems. And I should really vlog about, you know, successful small communities, because we actually had a home fellowship for about 8 years and it was very successful for 7. It's probably the way to go, honestly. Not that there's anything, you know, wrong with organized religion. The biggest issue, and I think I've touched on this with religion, is that we so often begin works focused instead of relationships focused. And relationship is all about relating, right? So relating to God, relating to people. But it's not about finessing people, controlling people, manipulating people. All of that's witchcraft, spirit of Jezebel. It's really not of God. So one of the biggest markers that lets you know you're in a cult or cult-like organization is secrecy, and that is the big issue with the group that I was a part of in Vermont. It was shrouded in secrecy. And now that I'm hearing a lot of the stuff that's coming out of Kansas City, because this was modeled after that, I'm realizing why all of that was going on. And what's really sad is the way that that secrecy impacts you as a person, because you then have to be secretive when you're talking with other people because you don't want to dishonor or break code or, you know, whatever. And so do I think that we should keep our word to people? 100%. But if you're a part of something that needs so much secrecy, there's just really a problem. Unless you're like fighting Nazis or whatever in the underground, you know, movement. Okay, bye. You know, unless you're a part of the resistance or something, I don't think that you probably need all those secrets. Obviously, privacy amongst, you know, close friends, I get that. So anyway, secrecy, big, big, big red flag. If you're in a relationship, in a ministry that has a lot of secrets, walk away. Not good. And that's how a lot of people get abused, right? And we're hearing that with all of these young gals that are coming out and saying they were raped, they were groomed to be well, it's almost like a harem, you know, that they're being told like, one day I'm going to marry you, but I love you like my wife, and you know, all of these wild things, you know. And people say like, how are these young girls getting duped? Well, when you're 19, it's really different than when you're 40, you know. And if you believe that someone is a really godly person, and that God may have a specific and very important role for you to do to help this person do their ministry, that's going to be like a major honor. Or maybe you're like, well, whatever the Lord wants, you know. And so again, I don't want to get down a whole rabbit trail, but it actually is very easy to be duped when you have a really good heart, you know, and you want to submit to leadership, you want to be respectful, you want to be a person that's honorable. And so that's where we really have to have boundaries. And that's why it's so good to read the whole Bible, because it talks a lot about, you know, how leadership is not allowed to abuse their people. Especially it talks about like Bible teachers and stuff like that. They're held to a different standard. They're not allowed to be given to drunkenness. They're not allowed to have more than one spouse. So I don't know why anybody would want to. They have to have their house in order. You know, the Bible talks about all of these things that have to be if you're a leader. And then you're held to a double responsibility, right? You may get double blessing, but double accountability. And so we really need to be calling out each other's junk. That's really what it comes down to. And so if you're a part of anything shrouded in secrecy, in particular with sexual sin, get away from it. And you know, a lot of families, they operate as a toxic family cult. And so this is in ministry, but it also happens at home. And you know, people say like, I can't believe that person was being abused by their grandfather or their uncle or their brother, or by, you know, their dad's best friend. You know, you hear, and especially because I pray with people a lot, I hear it all the time. And yet most of these young women that come, or sometimes a little older than young women, they've carried it a long time, but you know, you think, how did they not tell? Well, most young people don't tell because it's someone that they were either afraid of, or someone that they knew that their family really loved, and it had been normalized. It was happening to them as a child. It's very confusing when it's someone that's in your family, and even though little kids know in their gut it's wrong, and you know, it leads to all of these problems in their life because you are touching a child's innocence and robbing them of their innocence. It's the greatest depravity. It's the greatest injustice, I believe, that we do is that we rob children of their innocence. And then on top of that, we don't defend them, and we don't let them know, yes, this was wrong. What was done to you is unjust, and we're giving you justice so that you can heal and so that you can move on. So we further perpetuate the problem, and it's so much happening in families. But it's been normalized without being normalized. I can't tell you how many people say, I cannot believe that was going on in their family. And yet it's going on in their family. And they may know or not know, but they don't believe it, or it was done to them. And so it's been normalized to them, and they're practicing cognitive dissonance. And so then it's happening to their children and then their grandchildren. I mean, it's generational. And so how I realized, okay, I cannot be a part of this anymore. I can't be a part of it in my family, and I can't be a part of it in organized religion, because I was seeing abuse sexually and spiritually. Spiritual abuse is not necessarily physical abuse, right? It's trying to control people's lives, but sadly, that spiritual abuse very often leads to sexually abusing people, but it doesn't have to. When you see these patterns, you can know that we were shown this very clearly in the Bible. So you're going to have people tell you, forgive, forgive, forgive. Yes, forgive, so that you can let go, so that you can be free of this person. Do not have anything to do with people that are abusive. Get away from them. Detach as much as possible and completely if you can. King David, you know, and I know we say he was God's friend. He's not one of my favorite Bible characters. I'm going to tell you who I'm emulating is Yeshua, not Bible characters, but I'm not trying to denigrate him. But listen, he did a lot of really messed up stuff. But something that we don't talk about very often is what happened to his daughter. His daughter was raped by her half-brother. What happened? Well, he gave false mercy. He did not deal with the sin in the camp. And scripture says that we have to deal with the sin in the camp, right? Over and over again, we see the children of Israel not do what they were supposed to do, not eradicate people. And then they have to deal with them again later. False mercy. And so often Christians give a false mercy. They think that they're giving a compassion or a kindness instead of cutting it off so that it doesn't keep happening and giving that person over for God to deal with. They have free choice. They got to choose to do what they did. Or sadly, they were transgressed against and they didn't deal with it. And so they're perpetuating it. But somebody has to say, it ends with me. It ends here. We're not doing this anymore. And it's hard because nobody's going to like you. But you know what? At the end of the day, you're going to feel really good that you stood up for your family and that you said enough is enough. King David's, the full brother of the daughter that was raped, he killed his half brother for raping his sister because King David did not punish him. He did not discipline him. And this story so clearly shows in a family what happens when you do not deal with sin. It makes people mad. And look, it basically destroyed his family. You've got a rape, you've got murder, you've got hatred. This hurt his kingship, not just his family. And we know that community is built on healthy families. And so again, this is the domino effect. And this is why I say, you know, people have got these negative dominoes going, but if you're brave and you say, no, I'm not dealing with this. I'm not giving into this. I'm not going to say that this is okay. You are creating a positive domino effect because your children and your grandchildren get to be free from that cult-like behavior, from that toxicity. There's this quote, I think it was Bonhoeffer, that said, silence in the face of evil is itself evil. And so if we truly want to be decent people, I'm just going to use the word decent, we're going to have to do the hard thing, honestly. And I don't mean suppress our gut, because your gut's telling you wrong is wrong and right is right. It's going to mean people being uncomfortable with your hard stances. And people are going to say you're not forgiving. People are going to say you're not loving. But you're doing what's right. And you can do it without being mean. You can just be really a matter of fact. Like I said, detach. It's really, honestly, that simple and yet that complicated. It's pretty simply applied to your life. Once you start doing it, it just becomes habit. And over time, you become accustomed to, this becomes your new norm, I guess. I hate to use that language. Spiritually, there's some anguish, even though you know you're doing what's right, because you don't have hate. You get to the place where you just don't have hate. And so you want to see people, the golden people, which they do. They have good in them too. That's what's so hard. And you want to see people redeemed, and you want to see situations redeemed. But what you have to do is really let go of that cult-like programming that we have to fix everybody and everything, and you just really need to be responsible for what you're responsible for and let other people be responsible for what they're responsible for. And you'll find over time, as you practice, that you actually get freer and freer, because you realize how unimportant you really are, and you can kind of learn to just be and not do. And that's pretty cool. It takes time to get there, because that's against what, it's not even that it's against our wiring, it's just against the programming that those of us who've been in cult-like situations, and we get used to being told, you know, do, and, you know, overcome, and you don't need sleep, and you need to give this, and you need to give that, and you need to do this, and you need to do that, and that can be in a family too. Okay, so I'm just going on and on here. So I hope I've brought this to closure. Let's get off this vlog before my phone, you know, does something crazy. And I hope that from my heart to yours, I at least made a space for those of you who are beginning to heal or on your healing journey to continue to move forward, and to know that you're not alone in this. It's pretty a rough journey, but as you near, I'm not to the other side yet, but as you get near to the other side, I will say that it becomes more comfortable, and you're definitely going to feel relief for sure. Okay, so and if you need to talk to someone, you don't have anybody to talk to, private message me, and I'd be happy to talk to you, or at least point you towards someone who can walk with you on this journey. This is not something you want to walk alone. So grace to you as you process, and I hope that you have a good rest of your day, and I might talk to you again soon, who knows. Okay, bye.